So, for high school, you moved, didn't you?
Yes, I moved from West Virginia to Kentucky to live with my great aunt Uncle Ted so I could become a Kentuckian. The reason for that is, in my view, is educational opportunity. The school I would have to have gone to in West Virginia was no longer an accredited high school. And so the one where Uncle Ted and Aunt Marguerite lived is, or still is, I'm sure. So that's what we did. Barbara, my sister, did the same thing, but she did it first. But she only did 1 year, which is her senior year of high school in Kentucky. I'm 4 years, almost 4 years younger than she is. Right there. I guess I was in 8th grade, finished 8th grade, 9th, 10th, no, finished 9th grade. So I went to Wagner High School in Kentucky, where my sister graduated from, for my sophomore, junior, and senior years. And coming from West Virginia, they probably thought that I didn't know much. But so they didn't even try testing me and putting me in their classes because they had high, medium, and low classes for academics. So they put me in all the low classes, and I ruined the learning curve was ruined for everybody, so they hated me anyway. So I didn't have any friends, didn't know a soul. That first year it was pretty lonely. But the following year, my mother was able to get me into the classes that I belonged, and it was with the highest groups. And that's when I started to become a teenager, I guess.
What does that mean?
This was the time of the Beatles, and I got to see them on it was the show that they debuted on TV and here in the States. They came from England to do that.
Ed Sullivan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed Sullivan show. And I would do homework with the gal that lived behind Aunt Marguerite's house, and I would babysit for extra money, but I was pretty much under everybody's thumb. I didn't have any wheels to get around in. Didn't know that many people to hang out with. That was fine, but the people I did find were mighty fine people. Maybe I was talking to you about the prom, where I went to the prom my senior year. This guy asked me, but it wasn't because he liked me or anything. Well, he thought I was a nice person, but his girlfriend got asked to the prom a while earlier, and she accepted it. And she didn't know that the guy that I was wound up with was going to be her prom mate and her boyfriend. Kind of complicated, but nevertheless, I accepted the invitation to be his date to the prom. And he got me a corsage for my wrist, and I bought this dress that was beautiful. I felt great in it. I got my hair done and all of that, and went to the proms, and I never saw her the rest of the evening. So I got to go to the prom. That's the way.
College. All right, so you graduate from high school in Kentucky, and you decide
Yes, Wagner High School in Kentucky.
time to go to college. So how'd you decide where to go, and did you like college?
I wanted to get out of Kentucky because I lived with adults, supervising adults every minute that I was in their house, because my mother went to live with Aunt Marguerite and Uncle Ted as well. Barbara was going to college at University of Kentucky in Lexington, and I only saw her rarely because she didn't come home or to Aunt Marguerite's and Uncle Ted's very often. And while she was in college, I was in high school. So we didn't see each other except maybe on holidays. As a matter of fact, Barbara couldn't remember that I had been living with Aunt Marguerite. She thought I just lived with her maybe 1 year or so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I lived with her 7 years. So that's how much we weren't a part of each other's lives growing up. And it's sad, but good in nice sense. Because we would have had a lot of disagreements. I did things that were not very nice, like those examples I gave, but she earned them.
So you wanted to get away from Kentucky?
Yes, because I didn't want to have to go home on weekends or feel like I had to go home, or feel like they needed to see me every weekend or every other weekend or whatever. I was tired of people telling me what to do, how to begin, how to sit. I mean, I even was given lessons on how to be Miss Prim and Proper. I had to walk with a book on my head. I had to walk up and down stairs too with a book on my head.
Like charm school stuff, right?
Yeah, that's really what it was charm school. And one of the sessions dealt with how to pluck your eyebrows. And nobody asked Aunt Marguerite's, our mother's, permission for her to do that to me. So she plucked my eyebrows, went closer to the center here, more like yours, even more so than what yours are. Oh, that set Aunt Marguerite off. And she called that lady up and she said, Susan's leaving right now. Well, not right that minute, meaning after that she would no longer be a part of the class. But I became a charm student. I went to, did I say, I don't remember if yeah, I did. Okay. I'm having a conversation with myself.
Did you like have a coming out or a cotillion or something like that, you know, like they do in the South, where they present you to society?
Well, there were those, but I wasn't in it. It's not like Green Uncle Ted were not in those, didn't run around in those groups.
Oh, okay.
The only time, because Aunt Marguerite worked. She worked at the Veterans Hospital in Kentucky. And she was the medical records librarian for that group. She didn't trust doctors because she knew what all those reports were in those files that she had. She was something else. Well, if I'm on the subject, I'll tell you. She was a very determined woman, and a couple of stories about her. One time she was going to, after work, she told Uncle Ted that she was going to go shopping, and she'd be when she was ready for him to come pick her up at such and such time, but she would call and let him know what time that was going to be. So when the time came, Marguerite called Uncle Ted. I picked up the phone and said, "Hi, this is Susan." And she said, "Let me talk to Uncle Ted." I did, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, wait, back up, stop. Marguerite wanted to go shopping after work, this one particular work day. And she asked Uncle Ted to come pick her up when she was ready. She would give him a call. When the time came, the phone rang, I picked it up, and it was Aunt Marguerite, and she said, "Tell Uncle Ted that I'm ready and waiting for him. I'll be at the front door of this store. I forget the name. It's a department store that was just in Kentucky. So he kind of said, well, he didn't want to. He was involved with reading the newspaper and listening to the TV news and stuff. And I could have my driver's license, and I've driven the car, and they let me drive it. And he said, Susan, here are the keys. Go pick her up and bring her home for me, please. So I did. I got there. Marguerite was waiting at the front. It was dark out. It was closing time for the store. And she was waiting. She saw me to pull up. She said, where's Uncle Ted? And I told her, well, he told me to come pick you up. He said, you turn around, you go back home, and you tell Uncle Ted he told me he was going to pick me up. I asked him to. He's going to do that. So that's what I did. Poor Uncle Ted. When she was very selfish sometimes, but very firm, and she was very good at what she did. And at times, lots of things. She was a very smart woman as well.
So, but you had your reasons for why you wanted to get out of there and go to college elsewhere.
Yeah, that was another one that was.
Uh-huh.
It turned out that way. It didn't look like anything, but
Looks cool.
that was a college of my choice.
Which one?
What do you mean, which one?
Which college?
The College of William and Mary.
Oh, okay.
Dave used to like to say that Mary graduated. Never mind. Cut that out. Cut that section out.
Fun fact, I did not get accepted to the College of William and Mary.
Hmm.
I applied, I didn't get in.
Well, I think because I didn't have the money in the family. Our Marguerite had saved a lot of money. I think that helped. Plus, there's a friend that she had who did graduate from College of William and Mary, and she wrote a recommendation for me that, and I don't know how much money Aunt Marguerite gave them as a gift, but that's how I got in. I think I've never been told the real story.
You don't think it could have just been on your grades and your merit?
No, because there are a lot of good people that good grades and not got in. I know that I got in as a out-of-state student, which they don't let a whole lot of out-of-state students in. The ones that they do, they have good grades and they're well-rounded in lots of other areas. But I was thrilled I got in. I had never set foot on it. Back to William and Mary, when I was first, when the train pulled up to the platform, the engine, well, what do you stop?
The conductor?
The first English class I took as a freshman at the College of William and Mary really got me scared because the instructor was a female who was, looks like she was wearing shoes. I mean, her facial features made me think that her shoes were too tight.
It's a good description.
And she was like Miss Priss. She wore high heels to school, to her classes. And she was very firm and not very pleasant in her comments to students that she didn't take a liking to, I guess. I remember calling home that evening and just bawling. I don't know if I can do this. I have so much work to do. And what it was a syllabus that she had given us for the year. I didn't know what a syllabus was, how it worked. So I was thinking I had all that to do. in half of the semester or something. Anyway, I learned differently. I learned that I wasn't by myself in my feelings about this instructor. But my class was in the Wren building at the College of William and Mary. Now the Wren building is at the head of the Sunken Gardens in Williamsburg, Virginia. And the college, at the time it was started, had buildings that were built to go around the outer rim of the Sunken Gardens. The desks that we sat at in that the English class were one long big seat with a back, and in front of it was another long piece of wood.
Oh, like in the movies?
Yeah, but it didn't have rows. I mean, it had rows, but you had to get in from the ends to get to the middle. And you couldn't she wouldn't let you sit on the end if the middle wasn't filled up yet.
Oh.
But what I was gonna say is I had a desk that had carved in there, TJ. Thomas Jefferson. He was a big part of getting that school going, but he was also a student there and graduated from William and Mary. A lot of famous people who were the fathers of our country had gone to that school. It's full of history, and the professors that they got for history, oh my gosh, they knew their stories backwards and forwards and sideways and upside down. When you were in class, the huge auditorium where the plays and things were given, and they had back up. Let's go back to the English class.
Okay.
Okay, I think I told you about the English class already, that our instructor she was young, she was beautiful. She had a real pointy, delicate nose, and her skin was peaches and cream. She wore high heels, she wore the latest fashions. Boy, she could knock your socks off and make you scared as could be. Maybe because she was so petite. I didn't know. Anyway, in her classroom were these long benches that went from one side of the room to the other. And in front of it was a long desk type of thing, one piece desk, and the initials TJ were carved into it. The story goes that Thomas Jefferson did that, but I think that's just somebody else doing it and trying to make famous about it. I don't know.
What happened that time when you stormed?
I was going to tell that.
Oh,
next.
yeah.
Another time, when I was a senior at William and Mary, the students had to be in, or all the students, the freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors had to sign in on Saturday nights at certain times. The freshmen were given 9 o'clock. They had to be in their dorms by 9 o'clock. The sophomores by 10, juniors by 11, and seniors by 12. And there were a lot of people in an uproar, a lot of students in uproar about that. So several representatives have gone to the deans, I guess, at the college to see if they could get it changed, and they said no. Well, we surprised them. And the seniors went first, the juniors, sophomore and freshmen lined up in that order, walking down the middle of Duke of Gloucester Street. The Duke of Gloucester Street is a part of colonial Williamsburg, And the powers that be didn't want the visitors to Colonial Williamsburg know that there was any problems, that the students weren't happy about stuff. And they had never had it's not a sit-in. They'd never,
Protest?
what?
A protest?
They never had anybody protest, the students have a protest like that. It was huge. It scared them, I think. Here we are, all these students walking down the middle of Duke of Gloucester Street, and behind those shops were alleyways, and the police were in their police cars going down those alleys, not knowing what to do. When they got to the crossroads, they would stop, we went on, so the police went on. The next crosswalk, or cross stop, same thing. And when they finally got to the real head of the Colonial Williamsburg entrance, the police took their cars and pulled us and blocked us off. Long story short, what we were asking for was just 1 more hour later to sign in, and we got it. we celebrated. That was the first time I think that William and Mary had any protests going on. Another story that involved being real strict was when it came time for spring break. 2 of my classmates had become friends with went with me down to Florida, stayed with Mother and Daddy for a week, enjoy the beach and whatnot. Their parents had given them permission. We were going to take the train from Richmond down to Florida, and take a bus from Williamsburg to Richmond, and take a train from Richmond down. But the night before we were to arrive in Florida, before we got on the train, all of us were in Ella's room, and it was warm evening. We had the windows open. We were in the dorm on the first floor, but the first floor is not. The first floor was, you could still reach things easily through the window from the first floor. So we were talking, and the security guards patrolled all around that section all night long. They heard, let me back up and say, Ella's boyfriend came around, and he stopped and was talking to us through the window, through the opened window, which had a screen in it. And we were talking for quite a while. I says, well, why don't we get a pizza? And I said, I forget, Drake was his name. I don't remember the boy's name. But we convinced him to go get a pizza and bring it. And it so happened that the doors at the ends of the hallway were not locked. It should have been. I don't know who did that or whatever, but because of that, we were able to let him in with the pizza, and no alarms were going off. So we're eating pizza, having a good time, just talking, and I know that I think they were smoking cigarettes. That's another story. And the policeman, or the patrolman, hears a male voice coming from the window. So he reported that, and we had to go. We were busted. We had to go talk to the Dean of Women the first thing the very next morning, or we couldn't go on our trip to Florida. I was worried because we didn't have much time to make our connections. And it turned out all right, but we had to sign this promise, and I don't know what all, signed our lives away before we could be allowed to get on the bus to take us to Richmond, then get on the train to take us to Florida. When we got to Florida, I was telling Mother what happened. I didn't tell Daddy because Daddy would have sided with the college. I said, told Mother what's happening because they were going to, they meaning the college deans would be calling my parents and telling them about what happened, as well as they had to sign this paper. And I didn't want Daddy to know about it because I didn't want any punishment coming from him for doing that. And Mother didn't tell Daddy. So I appreciated that.
How did you decide your major?
Which was elementary education. I decided my major would be that after a long thought, and I didn't know what I was interested in, and I didn't. For females, there were not a lot of options for careers that men had at that time. So I just took the easy road out, and Mother and Marguerite were arguing the point of being a teacher, because wherever you went, there would be teachers needed. And I said, okay, so that's how I decided. But to let you know, when I first got my first teaching job was in Williamsburg, Virginia, at Matthew Whaley Elementary School. They loved me there because I helped them put on this play, which was super duper big time attention for the teacher that had me. She was no fuddy-duddy, but she liked me and she liked how I handled the classes. But I learned from her too. I learned some tricks on how to handle different things. She loved children. At her heart, she loved children, but she was very firm. Okay, we started. After graduating from the College of William and Mary, I got my first teaching position at an elementary school located within the city limits of Williamsburg, Virginia. And it was a 5th grade class, and I can't think of my teachers, the teacher who was responsible for me. I can't think of her name. But one of the things that we did was put on this play, if you will, about American history with the kids. And I did all the work, and we did all the practicing together, and we spent practically the whole semester working on this. We didn't spend I mean, when class time came, we had other things going on, of course, but she meaning the teacher took some time every day to work on a little part here, a little part there, and whatnot. But it turned out to be a roaring success, and I was proud of myself. And the teacher was proud of me, and she wrote me the nicest recommendation for working. So all I had to do to get my first teaching job after I graduated was just go to this round robin type of meeting where people ask questions of teachers to be, and they asked me one question. It wasn't what my name was, it wasn't where I lived or anything. It was, what do you want to be when you grow up, or something like that. I said, teacher, you're in. It was that easy.
I guess Aunt Marguerite and grandmother were right then when they said they need teachers everywhere.
Oh. When we moved, meaning Dave and I moved to Colorado, I could not find a teaching job, not even a substitute teaching job anywhere. It was just saturated with teachers, and they were overflowing, and they didn't need them. So I didn't even get an application from some school districts in the Front Range, because they just was full. Cherry Creek gave me an application to fill out, so I went to that, and it was just a group meeting with them telling us, them meaning the executives telling the interviewees about Cherry Creek. They were like promoting Cherry Creek being the best, all this type of thing. Wasted my time with that. So I did get a teaching job, a substitute teaching job in Westminster, and I lived on the east side of Denver. I-225 was not completed yet when I got my first substitute teaching job in Westminster. So I'd take Buckley to 70, and Carol got snips of things that she didn't know about, and vice versa. And Barbara remembered some things differently, some events differently. And that's it for today, which is
It's one of those days that ends with the letter Y, I think.
January. Is it 28th?
Yes.
2025.
Correct.
Tuesday.
Adios and over and out for now.